Marvels comes out. So Adan and I are going to go look back at 2019's Captain Marvel with a rotten score currently at 79% by the critics and 45% by the audience. Does the MCU prequel still hold up? It is. It is a prequel.
Hey.
Welcome back to Tales of Two Bros. My name is Angel,
I'm Adan.
where we give you a review at least once a week. Spoiler alert, Marvels is coming out. We did a review on Ms. Marvel, the series.
True.
End credit led to,
Marvels.
again, guys, I may pronounce these names wrong, directed by Anna Bolden and Ryan Fleck. Writing credits, you have Anna Bolden, Ryan Fleck again, Geneva Robertson Tourette, Nicole Perman, and Meg LaForge. Starring, you have the cast: Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury, Ben Mendelsohn as Talos, Jude Law as Jan Rogue, Annette Bening as Supreme Intelligence, Lawson Marvell, Jisman Hansu as Korath, reprising his character role that he did in Guardians. And so this is more like also a prequel to Guardians. This movie is a prequel to the MCU. That's, as I called it out before.
Other than Captain America, it's like I want to say it's the next prequel, really.
Well, it's more like also
Because it's set in the 90s.
Is it the 90s or 80s?
90s, no doubt. Was playing Nirvana, Nine Inch Nails.
And your old company was there.
Blockbuster Video, baby.
Right. But no, right. Even Captain America was the first Avenger. Well, it's more like about him.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the Tesseract in this.
Yeah.
But this is more like how Nick Fury became
Nick Fury
that we knew, and the Avengers. What inspired him to create the Avengers Initiative?
Yeah.
You also have here Lee Pace, who played Ronan, which was he didn't have the face paint he did in Guardians. It didn't sound so menacing as he did in Guardians, which I would like to have seen. Like, maybe I do a spinoff, like how he became like that, where the face paint and the deeper voice.
Yeah.
You have Lashana Lynch as Maria Rambeau, Gemma Chan, Minerva, who was also in Eternals. So apparently, it doesn't matter if you die, or if you played a character before, they'll get you back in. Clark Gregg as Agent Coulson, Rune Demte as Bron Char, Algenis Perez Soto as Alt Las, McKenna Grace as young Carol, Akira Akbar as Monica Rambeau, the younger version. Now, I liked it when I first saw it, and watching it again, and I still like it.
Okay.
Well, here's the reason why I like it initially is because how the MCU was going. They were going in a rapid pace, high intensity movies, like fast race. This movie pulled back a little bit, going back to an origin story, putting down some landmarks, because we were like, this takes place right before Endgame. We see that in end credits.
But it doesn't take place right before Endgame. It tells a story before Endgame. Endgame started. No, that was Infinity War.
Infinity War happened, right? So, like I said, like the pace was going, pop, and then you have Infinity War. Then this movie came out,
and the end credit scene was what leads to Endgame.
The pager. Yeah, correct. So that's what I liked about the pace. Now, I know that Brie Larson got a lot of flack because how she portrayed Captain Marvel, and I liked it. I still like it.
I'm not gonna lie. I was one of the people that was giving flack for Captain Marvel, the movie, for a lot of reasons. Rewatching it now, I can appreciate it more the second time around. I don't think it's Brie Larson. Brie Larson. Now that I can say her name. I thought it was the script, like the dialogue between her and the settings of the film, just didn't sit right with me.
In what sense?
So there are certain scenes where she's like they're trying to make her dry and then throw in humor, and it just doesn't mix well. Pretty much mostly after she lands on Earth and interacts with Nick Fury. It's not really like her trying to cope with her memories, as just like her personality just juggles from one area to the next, and it didn't seem cohesive. It didn't seem like she was developing. It just felt confusing and just almost alien, not in a good way.
But yeah, she was very robotic in some of her dialogue.
Exactly. But like everywhere else, she's not. Like even at the beginning of the film, she's not. And even the Kree people, they're not.
Hmm.
So it's like it's offsetting.
Now, is that the writers or the director's fault?
So that's what I'm getting at. I don't think it's Bree's fault because I've seen her in other stuff and she can act.
Of course, she's
Yeah,
well. She before she got this, she won an Oscar
yeah. But I
for
feel
The
like
Room.
they could either have been the director or it could have been the writer or a combination of the two. Because also, I also had problems with Nick Fury. It's kind of the same issues that I had with the Nick Fury show in the sense that this doesn't feel like the Nick or the Fury that we should know. Now, granted, my point of view is a little bit skewed. I go from the comics, cartoons, how I grew up with Nick Fury. And yes, like the portrayal of Nick Fury, how we have him in the MCU is like this real badass spy who's pretty much had to move up the ranks, maintain, has history with like Robert Redford in Captain America Civil War. He's a guy with a reputation. Every time they do a flashback on him, they're taking away all the mystery, but not replacing it with something cool or something that represents how awesome of a character he is, making it very mundane and incidental. Case in point, as funny as cute as it can be, the fact that he lost his eye to Goose, the cat, it really just hurts his character so much. There's been storylines where his character like lost in a battle, possibly lost it to Wolverine. You know, there's so many different ways that it could be done. His character in one version of the comics, it was the true version of the first super soldier. It was modified for Captain America. And all this backstory history gone out the window. They could have had
Well,
that.
I mean, the thing is, like, you have a different Nick Fury for that. Where like the Nick Fury that we know, the white version, the other version where what was it, the Ultimates?
The Ultimates was the one where he was the first captain. He was the first super soldier, and they gave it to Steve Rogers. The white one, he was played by Hasselhoff, so I could say the Hasselhoff version. That one, he didn't take a super serious. He took it was the forever youth formula or something like that. It was the formula that kept
I
him.
thought it was because and then what happened gave him like slowed his aging down.
That's what the formula did. It was it's kind of like a knockoff Fountain of Youth, but that's in the regular 616.
Mm-hmm.
So it just slowed down his aging a lot. So really, like he was around when Captain America was around, or he was damn well close to it.
Well, he was friends with
The Howling Commandos,
correct,
and they were around with
so
Captain America.
correct,
Yeah,
exactly. But anyway, yeah, what I find here in the sense of this is again here I go with Star Wars because this is how the prequels gave us lazy, simple explanations of how things came to be. That's how they did it here with Captain Marvel, especially with Nick Fury.
yeah, that's
He got the
exactly how I was talking about. Like how he got
right,
his
but
eye, and they just
right,
lessened
but
the characters.
exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like, and how he got the where he got the name for the Avengers Initiative. You know, it was just like simple explanations, simple answers. Where we thought like how his eye came to be was like you said before with Wolverine and all the stuff, the history of different stories of how it happened. So even though I enjoyed it, I did find a lot of faux pas here in the sense of consistency with the MCU or what happened prior to it
Mm.
and what they did here with this. They just did like George Lucas ignored some things that were already set in motion by previous films.
How did you feel about the whole Marvel thing?
Well, originally as a male,
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. It doesn't really
I mean,
matter to me.
technically, originally they were he was a love interest of hers, if I'm correct, and she did step in to save him. Marvel was more of a role model to her. That was it. Marvel really didn't contribute anything other than being a strong role model and establishing a lab base. Where in the comics, Marvel was like the first real opponent to Thanos.
But we're here, like she's trying to find peace for the scrolls, trying to find a home. So she rebelled against her own kind,
True.
and I'm okay with that. I mean, I'll probably have liked more to see how her powers come to be. It's like that because it feels like she put her essence into that ship in a sense. Like then, when it exploded, the essence went on to Danvers,
Yeah,
and I'm
and
just
they
like,
say they made her a hybrid by fusing their blood to her and whatnot.
which is weird, but again, that's simple explanations.
Yeah,
And I
which
mean,
makes no sense either.
right. I mean, like her blood turns blue now.
Hmm.
It doesn't make sense. It also doesn't
Um,
make sense that everyone speaks English. Apparently, Alien and what have you, the Kree, the Skrulls are all speak English.
yeah, even in the
Again,
comics,
lazy
they don't
writing.
all speak the same language. Oh, and that was another thing I was wondering too, because like I know now in the comics they made it so Carol Danvers, it turns out like one of her parents was actually Kree, and that's she's half Kree because of that, and that's why she
Okay,
was able to take that. They could have made Marvel her like her mother or something like that, and
right. In the sense, like
that would
not
have made
know
more
it.
sense.
Right, and not know, like she didn't know that was her mother, but ends up being their roads cross. Even though we're kind of like dogging it, I still liked it. I was like watching it, and I was like, wow, this is actually really good. This is actually better than I thought. Now, granted, it had the whole Barbie feel, meaning felt like there was moments where it was forcing, women's strength, women's power, whatever.
Absolutely, 100%.
You had that here. And I can understand is her character. She went through a lot growing up, always being pushed down, but she always got up. No matter how many times she fell, she always got up.
I thought that was cheesy though at the end where they
No,
did the
no,
flashback of all her past selves standing up.
right. I mean, granted, yes, and they did a long hold on like a couple of them. It's like that's enough. You don't have to
Hmm.
hold the pose. No, I get that, and they know her partner, her friend, her teammate, best friend. They were like the female versions of Top Gun, which they had the cat named Goose in honor of Top Gun,
Yeah, the movie.
or not the cat, the Firkland, the
You can
Firkland.
call it a cat for now because we're gonna mess up the alien name. I was more interested in like her alien teammates, the Kree teammates. I was more interested in Korath, Rune Tempt, the guy with the beard,
Right.
and Atlas. They had character and personality. Even like was it Minerva? She had like personality, and I wanted more from that crew. Like when they're fighting and Bronchar comes in with a pinball machine, he's like incoming. I just got a kick out of that for some reason. Like he's just a guy who fights not seriously, and Atlas even tells him, "Don't make us do this." And she kind of plows through her own team like
Well,
like it's nothing.
but the thing is like it's not really her team.
But
You know what I'm saying? It's like
she's been
she
there
doesn't
for
know.
years.
6 years, but the thing is, she doesn't trust anyone. She had amnesia from the blast, and she just believes a lie, and she can't, So who's she going to trust? She can't trust Minerva.
Yeah, I
I mean,
get that.
I understand what you're saying, and and granted, but the thing is, their ease, like Atlas was the only one that said don't do it. Like he had the ones like a little more level head. Everyone else was game to fight.
True.
So what are you going to do? You're
Well,
not
she
going to
kind of
fight
like
them?
started swinging first.
Yeah, but they had the weapons out.
She is a living weapon.
Yeah, but she wasn't swinging. They were like having the weapons out. So she would. I'm sorry, you're not going to defend yourself if they pull
She
up.
walked into the room
If
glowing.
does she wasn't firing. She wasn't firing at them. They
That's
came
like
out.
having a gun pointed at your face. It's like I'm not firing. Do I
No,
feel
that's what
threatened?
they did. That's what they did.
I'm just saying it's the same. If someone came in and I know they're completely engulfed in energy flame, and I know that will quite literally vaporize me, I'll still have a gun pointed to them, Nerf gun or not.
Okay, all right, you're a bully. All right, no worries. Okay, got it. What about favorite moments?
I kind of liked it on the scroll ship when she was captured first initially.
Hmm.
I mentioned about the end fight scene. I enjoyed that actually, specifically the fight scene portion. I like the interaction between Talos and Nick Fury. Those interactions between their characters really were, and I can understand why they used them for the Nick Fury show because Talos, I personally every scene that he was in, I enjoyed.
Right, I feel the same way. He was a scene stealer. I like, especially with the Firkland. It was very natural, and he stole it for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a very
Like when he's in the house and he's sipping the tea. Is it tea or coffee? He's like, and he's like being, it's like, I came to you in my natural form, no threats or anything. They're like, what's that? Well, you got to understand. He just
right.
rolls
And
with
the
it.
thing, and they're asking him questions on the ship. He's like, "Can you turn to a cabinet?" It's like, why would I turn into a cabinet?
Venus
Okay,
5 chap. I'll give you $50 right now.
he's just getting annoyed. Now, for me, it was the action was a lot better than I thought. But I also remembered when the training sequence when Danvers and Yon Rog were fighting in the beginning. He said, "You want to fight?" Talking, and they're fighting hand to hand
Hmm.
combat. He reminded me of Tony Jaa in The Protector, where they're doing the forms like with the horns
Oh, with
and
his
that.
techniques.
Yeah, because he was like he'll duck and at the same time he'll grab. her arm and then turn around and go into a standing arm lock,
Yeah.
and then he'll duck again and grab another punch and then twirl it like she's like almost like in a half Nelson. I saw that and I thought of Tony Jaa, the Protector, because that style was a form of Muay Thai where using the like it represents the elephant's husks
Yeah.
and nose.
I would say that's high praise,
Well, for
technique
that, I mean,
wise.
Jude Law did very well in that. He was awesome in this. I
Hmm.
mean, that's what's great about like with the MCU. They get legit actors, thespians to amp up a role or the movie.
Yeah.
You have Annette Bening, Samuel Jackson, Brie Larson, Jude Law, Ben Mendelsohn. Like these guys are seasoned actors. Some of
Hmm.
them are Shakespearean actors, just like Alec Guinness. Sir Alec Guinness was a Shakespearean actor that did Obi-Wan and he brought it up. Even though he hated the lines, he thought the writing was trash, his performance still led it to make a believable character. And that's what
Oh,
these guys did.
absolutely. Yeah.
And her releasing her power, it was very Neo in the Matrix.
I can see that.
Well, yeah, you had the thing where like when Neo realized that he is the one, and when she took off that chip to block her powers, and so when they both kind of like he didn't float, she did, but her eyes are down, and as his was too, and they both look up, even though Neo had his eyes closed, and he opened to look at the agents, where her eyes were just up and glowing the whole time. It was just a really good moment. I mean, it was a powerful moment. Now, faux pas.
I think we've been going over some of them.
Yeah, we did. We did. Before I go that, I do like Stan Lee cameo.
That was nice. It's his last one. I can't say nothing bad about it.
Was this his last one?
It
The
was
last one?
I want to say it was the last appearance of him. I could be wrong. If I am, correct me in the comments, people. But
Endgame was his last one.
I thought this was his last one.
No, he passed away, but he shot for Endgame because remember he's driving the car. It's where Tony Stark and Steve Rogers are in the naval base or army base. He's driving by, yelling something to the army camp.
Mm. Okay, I don't remember
He's
that
wearing,
scene.
he's wearing a wig. They de-aged him to make him younger, look younger. But
So
yeah,
was that film before this or after this?
Endgame came after Captain Marvel, but his death happened.
I'm talking about his cameo, like the filming of his cameo was before or after Captain
What do you
Marvel.
mean? What?
Sometimes they'll film certain roles, like for Endgame. Like I think they were filming some scenes before they were even done Captain Marvel.
Yeah, and they shot. But no, the thing is, regardless, it's like one of his final performances. But he passed away when this movie came out.
Yeah,
What I like about that too is cute because it's just very simple. But he's reading a script because he's playing himself,
playing himself.
reading a script for Mallrats,
Yeah.
the Kevin Smith movie that he makes a cameo in there. So it's
Mhm.
kind of funny that you see the actor playing himself or the creator of Marvel playing himself getting ready for another movie, which is kind of funny. But a couple things: how does she know how to ride a motorcycle?
Why
And how
was
does
it
she
the
know?
first thing that came to mind when you were started saying faux pas? That was the first thing that came to my mind.
She knows how to ride a motorcycle, even though she has amnesia.
Doesn't recognize anything that's in the human world. She's like, "Where's your communication device?" And they point to a Radio Shack and whatever. Doesn't know any of that. Motorcycle shows up. I got this.
Or knows where to go, even though she was looking at a map, but she automatically knows where to go.
How to read the map? True. I mean, you can say like I can understand roads, mountainous areas, or whatever, but you got to know where are you starting from. Where are you now in order to go from there? She doesn't know where she's at.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. It's like those little things, like that makes no sense. Okay, in Iron Man, when we were introduced to Coulson, he spelled out the anagram, excuse me, of Shield.
Yeah, he didn't say shield.
At the end, he did.
Yeah.
It just call it Shield because it's too long. Here, they kept calling it Shield.
Yeah.
They didn't necessarily say the whole thing, but they said Shield. I was like,
they didn't say any of the anagram.
No, they didn't say any of the words that spelled it out, right?
Yeah.
They created the anagram, right? I mean, if that was the case, he would have said it in Iron Man from the get-go.
Matter of fact, in Iron Man, they said, we're still working on the name. We're still like they're talking about it as like a new agency and so forth like that. Exactly. Here, this is like 10, 20 years early. No, it's about 10 years early. And they're established and they're already established.
2008 is when Iron Man came out. So roughly 20 years. You can definitely say 15.
Okay. So they at this point, S.H.I.E.L.D. is established and they got their so what's with the whole thing,
Right.
It makes no
You would.
sense.
I mean, I would appreciate it if they were saying it, and then one of them says, "We got to get up a shorter name. We got to create a different name for this."
Hmm.
If he just did that, I would have found it, for one, funny, and make it a callback to Iron Man. But when you just called the Shield when it was not called that before, it's like, really?
Is it the shield hats? They already have like clothing.
Right.
Um,
Exactly. I mean, it would have been better if they had the agency that was in Captain America that later on became Shield.
yeah, yeah, yeah. If that,
So if they had that there,
well,
then
and that's
transitioned
the
into
funny thing, that agency, that was an Agents of Carter. Agents of Carter for years,
yeah.
like she was heading up that agency. They evolved it, and it came into fruition. Yes, I
Mhm.
agree. That could have been the case. Tell me this is not a faux pas. Also, just met an alien for the first time. Let me take her to a top secret base
Yeah,
to
don't do
gain
that.
files on a top secret mission.
Right. That's a lot of trust right there. That's immediate trust, which is not cool. Oh, here goes another faux pas. So you're saying that.
Hmm.
All right. So I understand scrolls can shapeshift,
Hmm.
right? So Coulson is not captured. He's still at the crime scene, and
Blockbuster.
Fury has a fake Coulson in the car.
Hmm.
I understand he can shapeshift, and I understand that. What I find it silly that clothes can now shapeshift too. So did he shapeshift a gun?
Oh, right. That's right. He had the gun. No, they can't shapeshift the guns.
Exactly. So
So,
how did that scroll get a gun that he just saw Coulson copied him, but Coulson was not touched,
yeah.
and he has his piece on him,
I
but
mean, they
it's
could
not
always shapeshift clothes, but the articulate items like that, they can't do.
right. But
Um,
here goes again. You say they shapeshift clothes, but then a lot of them, the one the last scroll that got killed by Young Rogue in the barn or the shed. He got shot, but he didn't change his clothes. He still had the regular clothes that he was there as Danvers.
okay,
So
so in that one aspect, I'll chalk it up to what Talos said. Oh, we can all technically physically do it, but it's like a skill or dare I say an art form. Like how well you do it is dependent on that ability. So maybe some of them can only change to the physical, and they can't do like the clothes. But
okay. I mean, the same thing happened in Secret Evasion,
yeah,
where
yeah,
you had some change everything and some just change just their physical body, not the clothes,
yeah.
the organic stuff.
But like
Now,
like a firearm and stuff like that, that I none of them could ever do that before. Not even in the comics.
tell me this: how does VERS spells Veers?
I mean, they're aliens.
But he read it. He
I
took the
don't.
dog tag. It should be verse,
I mean, maybe it's the same way they call like Marvel instead of Marvel.
right, but it's not Marville or Marville.
But that's due to their alien pronunciation for the L. I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? They call it
I get
Veers.
it.
It's like
Like,
it's like there's no two E's together, or it's not VERES. It's not, you
but
know.
then that goes back to your argument of like why do they all speak English? And
True. I mean, that's again, that shouldn't have happened. There should be different things. I mean, in the comics, we always read it in English because that's for us, but you'll have like either
parentheses.
parentheses, yes, to show that is a different language
Yeah,
you're
and then
speaking.
sometimes if they don't want it to be interpreted, they'll do like different characters or whatever to
Right,
represent those languages. Like,
right.
yeah, which is for me as a moviegoer, I'm okay with it. I watch a lot of foreign films. I'm okay with that. Put some subtitles down if you want.
Now, also Monica Rambeau. Now, not to dog on her because she was great.
You mean the kid?
Yes, this is nitpicking, but I'm mad at WandaVision that brought in the adult Monica Rambeau. Looks nothing like the child. And a lot of castings people do this when they show a younger version and an older version, where the younger version is light skinned. She's definitely mixed. She has some Asian in her, and she's lighter than the Monica Rambeau adult, who is like chocolate and no Asian display there at all. Her first name is Japanese, Akira. They
No,
pronounce
this
it
is true.
Akira.
Yeah.
I mean, this girl is definitely Asian mix, Asian and black mix.
I mean, that is a little bit nitpicking. The whole thing with the outfit,
Which
that
part?
this is real nitpicking now. Oh, now we're on the
Changing
same team. I should change the outfit. Wait a minute. So you're telling me you robbed a mannequin, did all this other stuff, and you could have just changed your outfit right there? And you're talking about the scrolls changing things. You could have just, you're walking,
no,
granted, it was
but
like
she
a
didn't.
rubber,
But
it's
she
a
didn't change.
rubber suit.
She didn't change the outfit. She just changed the color.
True.
So it's not. the same.
No, but
No,
I just it felt cheesy to me.
no, I get it. I mean, I get it. Oh, I do like at the end too, the final fight scene where it kind of reminded me of the Adventures of Ford Fairlane, starring Andrew Dice Clay. Damn, I'm going way back on this one.
That's a deep cut, bro. I didn't even know about
Yeah.
that one.
Oh yeah, it is pretty funny. But no, this is like so. Young Rog is challenging Danvers to fight hand on hand to hand, no powers, nothing like that, right?
Yeah.
And then she just blasts him, bang. So in Adventures of Ford Fairlane, and you got to watch it. It is funny. The guy is wants him to fight Ford Fairlane, Andrew Dice Clay, and the guy says, "Come on, let's go, let's do it." And Andrew just pulls out a gun and is like, shoots him. Boom. It's like kind of like Indiana Jones thing, but the same token
Yeah.
is like, dude, use your head. I'm not gonna what. I want to end this quick. Also goes with another Star Wars with Han shot first.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that there's so much hate for Brie Larson's performance, which I seriously I think it was blown out of proportion. But this movie definitely deserved a sequel from what they showed towards the end, where Ronan wants her. He wants to collect her. He wants to get her. Like he wants her because he says, "I want that weapon." I would love to see that confrontation. I would love to see that or a different adventure for her because she was
She was going to go find a planet for this scrolls.
for the scrolls,
Yeah.
which obviously failed because they were still there.
Mm-hmm.
She was the avenger of not just the world but of the galaxy. So
Yeah.
there's so many stories out there.
I said it at the beginning. I don't think it was Bree's performance. And you're right, she got a lot of flack for that. But I think it was more what she had to work with. The scripts and the directing. Possibly both. A lot of the faux pas we talked about are just like circumstantial from the story and the script.
Mm-hmm. To me, her performance is a-okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as like Hayden Christensen's performance in the prequels, where it was just total flat, total dry, snooze fest. The writing was a little weak, and especially and also the directing. The directing could have been better, but I mean the actions were good. The fight with the old lady in the train was great.
Yeah, like I have
awesome.
no issue with the fight scenes. Just the
I mean,
overall
even
story is what I had the problem with.
Kimberly, she came in and she's like, "You're watching this?" I was like, "Yeah," and then she goes, "Oh." She just starts watching it. So she got entrapped into it.
Yeah.
Oh, and she totally forgot about the Firkland eating people and swallowing the Tesseract. This is a good movie. I mean, with Rotten Tomatoes, again, we have Rotten Tomatoes score 79% by the critics, 45% by the audience. I mean, it made over $1 billion. Can't be that bad.
Yeah, well, no, like let's be honest. You can make money and still be bad.
Yeah, but no at the same time. Because meaning you can have a great opening weekend, and then on the second weekend, it just tanks because people saw it and word of mouth. This did not tank on the second weekend. It was number one for, I believe, 2 weeks at least.
It did do better than Black Widow.
If Black Widow went out in the theaters, as initially was a prompt to, it would have probably done well in the first weekend, and it would have definitely tanked on the second weekend.
Fair.
Definitely no Eternals.
No.
It is worth the watch. It is worth to own if you want to own it, especially with the behind the scenes. It was done very well. And the music was really good too.
I do love 90s music a lot.
Right. I mean,
did it fit the places of some of the parts in the movie?
Yeah, but does it really fit when James Gunn do it for Guardians? Not every time, but it fits.
Yeah, he makes it fit for the most part though.
Right, but this felt it fits for me in a sense, like it's all girl power and all that stuff. You have that, yes, being rammed down our throats, but it did fit for me, especially with I'm just a girl when she's fighting the Kree,
which is a shame because I do like that song. Growing up, I was like, I do enjoy the song. You know what it is? It felt like a knockoff Wonder Woman to me. I hate to say it like that. Where they're like trying to, like when you're kind of at parts, make it force down like women empowerment. You kind of said it too. Like it's not necessary.
Yeah, but she's the hero of the story.
No, what I mean by not necessary is like if you want a character to really show how independent and strong they are, minus the gender or whatever, don't throw it down our throats that they are one specific gender or whatever, or if they're one certain characteristic. Let them naturally represent that, and that will become their shining achievement of it. And when you start throwing it down all over my face, I'm not going to be like, that's really cool. Strong woman empowerment character, out of the blue, Sigourney Weaver, Aliens. Character, they don't argue that she's a guy or girl, whatever. She's like, I killed queens and xenomorphs and lived. Alien 3.
Right.
No one questions in that. Terminator 2, Sarah Connor. No one questions how badass, well, except for in the first movie. But in other movies, no one questions how badass Sarah Connors is.
You're right.
It just takes away from the enjoyment for me when I have to get force fed.
No, I get it. You're right. You're right about that. But I mean, I don't know. To me, if I didn't get appalled by it or offended by it, I was just like, okay, it is what it is.
I'm not really offended. It's just that it.
No, but I understand what you're saying, though. Right. But like for me, seeing this and then seeing Barbie.
Well, I never watched Barbie.
If you see Barbie, then you're like, okay, Captain Marvel's approach wasn't that so bad.
Okay, fair enough.
You know, it's just like, ugh. Yeah. All right, guys, that is our marvelous review of Captain Marvel. Have you seen it? What was your favorite moment? Let us know in the description below. If you have a movie or show you would like us to review, please email us at talesoftvbros@gmail.com or leave it in the comments below. Until next time, we'll be the next time. I'm Angel.
I'm Adan.
Love you, bro.
Love you too.
Keep going. I had to take a shit.
Bro, you need a colonic.
I gotta go. So keep going.